What is water problem? Water problem can be in terms of water pollution, water stress, and shortage of water, and many more. According to United Nations Development Programme in 2019, in which it estimated 2050 at least 4 people will face the water shortage. Besides, in 2025, people were expected to be experienced such as water stress and water scarcity, in which it may happen due to the urbanization, growth of population, irrigation, agriculture. That is why it is very important to highlight this topic, because the water is one of our main resources that we need in our basic life. The next topic I will pass to Sahira.
Okay, so for the problem segment, which is many areas that have been affected due to the pollution of river, lack of effective water management, and it contributes to the negative effect on water quality and availability of water to the people. This one is according to the Al-Mamun and Zainus in 2013. And by the year of 2020, it has been expected that 9 states in Malaysia is to involve with the risk of increase in water problems, especially in Selangor. This one is according to the new Straits Times 2016. Furthermore, according to the Ling, Jian and Yun 2007, the community of Klang Valley has difficulty to get water access, especially when the water rationing occurs. The current level of water in Selangor, according to the Ling, Jian and Yun also 2007, which is it stated that it had experienced lack of water in which in the state's water resources are not adequate for the requirement, and also it will get worse due to the inadequate rainfall that has been collected in the at the water dams. And lastly, the water level of major dams has deficit, which is it leads to the critical level due to the severe drought hit the West Coast in 2014. According to the Khalid 2000, for the research question, the first one is what is the relationship between climate change and water problems in Kuala Langat? The second one is what is the relationship between water management and water problems in Kuala Langat? The third one is what is the relationship between urbanization and water problems in Kuala Langat? And the fourth one is what is the relationship between pollution and water problems in Kuala Langat? And the lastly is what are the major independent variables that influence the water problems in Kuala Langat area? That one is the research question. So for the research objectives, which is to examine the relationship between climate change and water problems in Kuala Langat. The second one is to examine the relationship between water management and water problems in Kuala Langat. The third one is to examine the relationship between urbanization and water problems in Kuala Langat. The fourth one is to examine the relationship between pollution and water problems in Kuala Langat. And lastly is to determine which one is the major independent variables that influence the water problems in Kuala Langat area.
Thank you, Sahira, for that explanation. So now, I will explain to you about conceptual framework. In conceptual framework, we already select the factor that influence the water problem in Kuala Langat. The conceptual framework stated the factors that influence the water problem in Kuala Langat. As you can see, this figure, you can see 4 independent variables, which is climate change, water management, urbanization, and pollution. And the dependent variable is factors that influence the water problem in Kuala Langat. Now, I will explain to you about the research method. For the first research method is research design. In our study, we implement the quantitative method in which we apply the cross-sectional survey. The cross-sectional survey is used to collect data in the certain time and at a certain place. For the next is unit of analysis. The unit analysis in this study will refer to the individual that involved in these problems, and it also refers to the household that live in Kuala Langat area. For the sample size in this study, the study has been conducted at Kuala, Langat, Selangor. For the sample size in this study, we implement the rule of thumb, in which the sample size determined when it is larger than 30 and smaller than 500. We have distributed 384 questionnaire, and for the return, we only received 311. According to Roscoe in 1975, it is appropriate. For the sampling technique in this research, we implement the non-probability sampling, in which is referred to the snowball sampling. As for data collection, for the part A is demographic profile, for the part B is the influence of climate change, the part C is the influence of water management, and part D is the influence of urbanization, part E the influence of pollution, and for the last is part F, the water problems, which refer to our dependent variable. For the data analysis, in terms of independent variable number 1 until number 4, we use the Pearson correlation because we wanted to examine the relationship between independent variable with the dependent variable. Next is we use the multiple regression because we wanted to determine which is the major factor that influenced the water problem in Kuala Langat area. Now, let's move on to our main findings. For our main findings in terms of demographic profile, the majority of our respondent is female, in which the percentage is 53.4%. As for the majority of the status, most of our respondent is single, with the percentage of 66. For the employment, most of our respondent is others. The others is referred to the students, with percentage of 33.1%. Most of our respondents among the 21 until 30 years old, with the percentage of 60.1%. As for the number of household, most of our respondents, the household is among the 4 until 6 person in the house, with percentage of 56.6%. As for the category of water bills, most of our respondent water bill is among the Rm 41 ringgit until 60 ringgits, and the percentage of 33.8%. Now, I will briefly explain to you about our hypothesis testing. For the objective number 1, which refer to the examine the relationship between climate change and the water problem in Kuala Langat, we use the Pearson correlation, and the result is the R is 0.595 and the P is 0.000. The hypothesis is we accept HO and we reject H1. For the objective number 2, as you can see, we use the same analysis, which is Pearson correlation. The result is 0.584 and P is 0.000. We accept HO and we reject H1. As for objective number 3, we use the same data analysis. As for the result is R 0.536, the P is 0.000. We accept HO and we reject H1. For the objective number 4, and we use Pearson correlation also, the result is R is 0.638 and P is 0.000. We accept HO and we reject H1. And for the last objective, which refer to the objective number 5, we wanted to determine which are the major independent variables that most influence the water problem in Kuala Langat. And we use the multiple regression. From the result, we can conclude that pollution have the highest beta value, in which 0.337. And the hypothesis is, since pollution has the highest beta value of 0.337, that means that the pollution is the major independent variable that influence the water problem in Kuala Langat area. The next topic I will pass to Sahira.
Okay, The significance. The first one is the policy marker, which is it is a good platform in order to initiate and also to develop the suitable support programs in order for them to gain feedback and also respond. The second one is agency, which is we want to identify and determine which one is the main problems that bother the most of the people. It's also to make sure and also we can prepare an action plan and more focus on how to improve their services and also their water management. The third one is the community, which is one of the medium that help the community to have a better understanding of the support programs. It can also gain knowledge and be more aware of the main problem. The first recommendation is act as responsible individual reflection of behavior. So in this context, the responsibility should be held based on their individual water management because they should prepare themselves in any emergency situation such as water destruction, low quantity and also poor quality of water. Saving water and avoid wastage should be their first priority as the water is one of the vital elements in our daily life. The second recommendation is the improvement is needed from the water agency. So as Syarikat Bekalan Air Selangor Syabas is hold the significant roles in managing Kuala Langat area. It is because the good or bad management from the water agency can bring effect to the community of Kuala Langat. The representative from the water agency can also monitor or visit the affected area to gain confidence and trust, and also it is become one of the gesture of accountability and responsibility from the water agency. The next one is, which is the last recommendation, is the government play important role in solving water problems. It is because the government need to aware crisis happen in Kuala Langat has not been solved yet for many years. So the government also need to provide allocations to the water agencies. For the first limitation, number of sample size is too large. For instance, the sample size in the chosen area can be limitation as not everyone around the neighborhood can cooperate very well because most of the people around there are not willing to answer the questionnaire given. So, for the future recommendation is the researcher can contact the person in charge or involved such as head of village in a study area. They also can seek help from the platform of media social such as Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram and so on. Second limitation, which is COVID-19 hit Malaysia. It is because recently Malaysia has been faced the most dangerous pandemic COVID-19 where they need to limit their movement. The future recommendation is the researcher needs to check whether that place is can be considered as a safe zone, and also the researcher also need to implement some standard operation procedure SOP such as wearing a mask, social distance which is 1 meter in order from them to prevent from getting infected. Hardship from the open and distant learning ODL is because in this context they need to depend on the internet too much, especially during consultations with their supervisors, not even have stable internet connection, and not all the people afford to buy smartphone or even laptop. So for the future recommendation is, in this situation, the researcher need to have a good commitment and also active to initiate the consultation with the supervisor. If there is no internet connection, such as they can use SMS and also other network telecommunications. Hence, also lastly, we can see the site visit the researcher go in the Teluk Panglima Garang over here.
Hi, my name is Anissa Saira binti Hamzah.
And my name is Nur Fatina Tasha binti Abu Bakar.
Today we are going to interview them and give them some questionnaire in Teluk Panglima Garang, Kuala Langat.
We also have provided some SOP in which we have our own mask. Also provide them with this safety precaution from COVID-19.
Okay, disebabkan kat Kuala Langat ni banyak masalah air. So, saya rasa setiap orang dekat sini perlu mainkan peranan lah untuk guna air dengan jimat cermat. Lepas tu kalau untuk agensi air pula mesti kena buat penambahbaikan lah. Kalau daripada segi pengurusan, dari segi maintenance, servis air dia. Lepas tu kerajaan juga kena mainkan peranan lah kalau dia kena settlekan masalah air. Dari dulu sampai sekarang benda ni tak settle-settle sebab kan benda macam ni lah.